Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and it is the vlog of me just celebrating Halloween and some spooky stuff like end of October vibes really. And yeah, I don't really have big plans on Halloween. I'm not really like a party person, so yeah. But so far today I've just done some cleaning and whatnot. If you've watched my last vlog, you would have seen I went to the library, so I went to town next to mine. And today my mom and I went back because they were having their Fulero bag for $12 event, and we weren't initially going to go, but my mother saw like books she wanted to get in. I don't know, it's just cheaper that way, I guess. So yeah, and I have also filmed and edited my October wrap up, so that's good to go. And yeah, that should be the video that was posted before this, if I'm getting this correct. So and I have done some reading of Dead Silence. I'm gonna be doing some more reading today, so. But I wanted to update before it got too dark. And I'm now on page 244. And we are again at the end of Claire's recount of what happened on a war with the others. We see how the others started to experience hallucinations with lordies, and we later learn that like initially it's like the people on board, like it's like their minds tricking them like what's or what's not, but now it's like people seeing people that shouldn't be on board, like Kane seeing his daughter who shouldn't be on board, and Nemi, I think that's his name or something like that, seeing his father and grandfather who both shouldn't be on board and one is dead, so yeah, that is concerning. Who initially Claire is the one seeing the dead passengers, so I mean she was still the one seeing the dead passengers, so for some reason what's happening is having a heavier effect on her than the others. And we also see really how being on the ships also affecting them when we see Voyar, who he doesn't seem to have much respect for Claire as a leader and whatnot. But he snaps at her, and he in general gone snappier with the rest of the crew. He's like, they're sitting around talking about ghosts and whatnot, and he's like, what bullshit are you all talking about? And he's just gone snappier, and at the beginning of the book, we are told that he is dead. But we see his death, how he tries to open the doors, even through opening them will kill the crew, and shoots it because he thinks he sees these people and he wants to help them, and chaos ensues. And really, with his account is where not his account, my god, his death is where Claire's recount ends because she hits her head. There's like a bit where she's out cold, and then she wakes up momentarily and sees Lords next to her dead. Lords like scratched her eyes out, and Wella and Claire, she's out cold again, and then she somehow got back to Earth. Like she doesn't remember get onto the escape pod or anything really. Like, and yeah, she thinks everyone is dead except Everett, the company she works for or worked for. They received a message, a very recent message from the Aurora, a distress signal, and even like if the transmission there isn't clear, she can still make out it's Kane's voice, so he's still alive or something else. And we also see how Claire is being treated with drugs. They are keeping her drugged up, really just to keep the hallucinations at bay, keep her from preventing them from doing them. And I guess because it's protocol in the facility she's being kept at, but they have to tie her to the bed when she goes to bed, and she is given permission by Max, who's one of the guys who is interviewing her, or interrogating her, as I like to say. And he's the good cop guy. She's worked with him before. She knows him. She trusts him. but he allows her on the voyage to see what's going on the war, to try and help bring it home. And she's not given permission to do this, but she goes through withdrawal from the pills that's supposed to prevent the hallucinations, because even if they are stopping her from seeing the hallucinations, from dealing with these memories and all of the trauma, they are clouding her mind, and she wants to be clear-headed when she goes on that ship. And as well, we do see, we learn that her story hit Earth before she did, and we learned that there were conspiracy theories. This like sort of bad docu-drama thing that Verax was able to shut down, but Verax wasn't quick enough to stop the public from making an opinion, and the public's forming an opinion because Claire, the facility that Claire's being kept at, it's a separate building from Verax, and so she has to be transported there, and when she does, she sees there's this protest of people wanting the war to come home, for Verax to stop lying and all of that stuff, so yeah, and it seems like Max has a plan, like Max, it doesn't seem like he necessarily cares about if there's any living passengers on board, or what will happen to the already deceased passengers. Like, Claire didn't see any body bags or anything, she just saw some crates being loaded onto the rescue ship, so he's like, what is Max planning? And he's also keeping her isolated from the crew that's being boarded, I guess, for her own protection, which, yeah, I don't know. I think this rescue mission is utter bullshit. It's just a thing for Verax to try and clear up its reputation, to make the public think, oh, it's helping, it's doing something, it's gonna bring the dead home, the people will get closure, like, yada 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 yada, like. Honestly, I think he's about to blow up the ship and like destroy all evidence, because again, Verax has done that with the hub that Claire lived on, like destroying the evidence that they didn't care about the people living in this colony. They only cared about the fact like it was a good reputation. Like it gave them a good reputation. Like. So yeah, so the mess that was left by City Futura, or whatever that previous company was, that Verax was able to swallow up, is now Verax's responsibility to clean up. So yeah. So far, I'm just like, I'm curious to see like what happened between Claire hitting her head, because that's what knocked her unconscious, and her telling her story to Max. And I'm still very much interested in what happened in between. So yeah, and if there are people still on board that ship that are alive, so, and what Max is planning to do, like, for me, I'm not being scared. I'm not like it is creepy what's going on, but for me it's like I'm more intrigued about reading the corporate bullshit that happens. Like that's a whole other that should be a whole other genre for like the things that people in these companies would do to keep their jobs, to keep their lifestyles, to keep their reputations of the company. Like, that is what's so intriguing to me, and that's probably the true horror, or the true horror of all of this. So yeah, and yeah, I think that's all for today. So yeah, I'll see. So it's the next day, and I've done quite a bit of reading, and I did finish Dead Silence, and I did enjoy this overall. I did like how it all wrapped up in one hand. Yeah, and it seems like we've gone on board. Claire sees her mother again, and finally, I guess, admits to herself that seeing her mother, it's like a bad omen. Like, it's like she sees her mother when she's not safe, or when she's in danger and whatnot, and which I do like that concept, like seeing a loved one who apparently And the bad memories, like for Claire, her mother dying as well. It's kind of like the I guess what set the whole thing off, what started the whole thing. I don't know. I do like, and we do see once more how history repeats itself. Because when the crew that Max sent to go on board to do whatever it is they are planning to do, they start experiencing hallucinations, seeing things that aren't there. They experience like the sounds, hearing things that it's not possible. Like we see how it also gets out of control, leading to the death of most of the crew because of this. Like they are sent on board with like these special earplugs that just didn't do anything, mostly because well, it's in our head. It's not like a exterior noise, I would say, but yeah. And we do see how there is, but the I guess an engineer or whatever his role was on the man on the war, how he did that, like trying to block out the noise with the screwdriver. But we do see how Kane is still alive. Who he's not in his like headspace. Like he is out of it for the most like last section of this novel, only coming through when Claire is in danger. And he's like barricaded himself in this room full of mattresses. Like it's like he tried to muffle out some sound from the floor, and yeah, and we see how the leader of Max's crew before things went to shit with them, how she locked Claire, Kane, and Mead in the room, like sealed it shut so they're not able to escape in any manner. It turns out that Claire and Kane and Reed are all part of Max's cover-up story for explaining what happened with the war, and yeah, I'm not gonna go into details with that, but it's like the show too. But Max is taking advantage of the fact Claire, like on file, she is written as being mentally unwell, so he's gonna make her look crazy to the public, like the crazy person who lost their minds being on a war. And with so it's like accompanying, I guess, benefit, but also for Max's own benefit, because by taking out weed, someone he sees as his competition really is his replacement for when he retires. He's able to get weed out of the picture. Like Max is doing this like partially with Phyrex's like permission, because Reed is the son of someone in Virax who has more power than Max. So yeah, we do learn the truth of what caused the hallucinations, of people hearing things. And it is like a company trying to sabotage their competitor and things getting out of hand. Like there are ghosts probably on board, but not like in a manner that we think it is. So I do like Claire, who has on and off throughout like the last couple of decades, I would say, experienced hallucinations. Like she's used to this, so she's using that to her advantage, because with Reed, with Kane, they're not used to seeing things that aren't there, but she is, and she's using that to her advantage for safety, which. And yeah, and I do want to read this line, that line, it's like, it's just, sorry, except it's not, I'm not gonna say that part because that's a spoiler. A lot of people died here in a variety of horrible violent ways. If any place should be haunted, it's this ship. So, is it any surprise there's a bunch of angry, confused spirits trying to make themselves known? And it's like, despite of how this happened, there are still ghosts haunting the ship. And we see this later in the epilogue, like Claire, she does buy herself a ship to start up her own transport company. And with that ship, it is a used ship. It's a ship that's seen space travel already, and it comes with its own ghosts. So, yeah, I guess like sometimes people move on. Sometimes when the way they died so tragic, they just kind of pass on, like they're stuck. in a place where they died, where they have to suffer through their horrible memories, and I don't know, I just like that sentiment. So yeah, overall, I did enjoy this novel, and especially, I think the true horror once more is in the corporate on corporate bullshit that occurs, and how far some companies go to take out their company, not company, to take out their competition or to rise up against them. Like, yeah. And overall, 4 stars, and I think the next book I will be reading, I don't think I'll be doing any more reading today, just because I don't really know them, but I will be starting The Name of the Walls by Umberto Eco, which takes place in 1327, and these physicians in a wealthy Italian abbey are suspected of heresy, and Brother William of Baskerville arrived to investigate. And when his delicate mission is suddenly overshadowed by 7 bizarre deaths, he turns detective. His tools are the logic of Aristotle, the theology of Aquinas, the empirical insights of Roger Byrne. And he collects evidence, deciphers secret symbols, coded manuscripts, digs into every labyrinth of the abbey where the most interesting things happen at night. So yeah, I'm very much excited to read that. And yeah, I think that's all for now. I think later this afternoon I will go outside to rake some leaves, and yeah, there's nothing interesting in this the mundane, so yeah. So it's the next day, and as you saw, I did go out this morning. I had to run an appointment on the other side of my town, and close this main street, which I did walk. I didn't really film the scare closes because I filmed them before, but it's mainly it was just very beautiful out with the fall foliage, with the gray skies. Like, it was just very atmospheric, so I wanted to capture that instead. So yeah, but I have done quite a bit of reading of The Name of the Walls, and I read quite a lot today. I'm on page like 108, and so far I'm very much intrigued. For some reason I was just quite tired today, so I feel like a lot of the religious stuff just like went over my head, especially with the religious talk about the time period. And I mean, I think seeing, like, I guess not the politics, but the like difference in religious beliefs, how people practice them, how like the corruption of the church, and people wanting and people being greedy kind of plays a role in the whole thing. Like, the discussions people are having, like, it's all very much intriguing to me, and seeing like how that is playing a role in what is happening in the novel. So yeah, but this novel, it's really being written like many years after the events have occurred, when Adzo, who is like the scribe and the disciple of William, is telling us the story, and he is really just recounting his time with William on this particular case at the Abbey. And we see how Willem Willem is like the Sherlock Holmes of this time period. Like he's able to see something and is able to deduce like what happened. Like the power of deduction, I believe it is. Like when he gets to the abbey, he notices the Albert's horse went away by seeing like a footprint in the snow, and seeing that it wasn't made by a crazed animal, but an animal in freedom or something, and like branches being broken and the whole thing. Like it was just interesting him deducing that just by some minor details many people would like just gloss over. So yeah, but yeah, they arrive to the abbey to investigate the death of this young man named Audemo. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but he was a young monk who fell to his death from a window, which should have been impossible, as these windows, like, you cannot open them at all, and the abbot or the abbey, or in general, really, they are not considering this to be a suicide, like getting a young man to kill himself, because they gave him a proper Christian burial, which would not have happened if he had killed himself. So, but Lament, and so they're given permission to go anywhere in the abbey except the top floor of the library where books are kept, and if they want a book, they have to put in a request if they want a specific book, and it seems like it's like the librarian will decide if they should have it. The rule applies to every scholar or monk who goes to the library, and it is like, I guess apparently to prevent falsehoods, to get to the minds of individuals, and as well to protect the minds of people, from what I got, which I don't know, it's like, in a way, it's censorship of a kind, because it's like preventing people from getting a certain book, deciding what books people are allowed to have, if it's safe for their mind, if it will cause them to think in a way that the church wouldn't approve of. Like, in a way, I see it as a form of censorship. Yeah, when they are in a library in a study room, just like to investigate a bit more, they meet another one of these monks named Jorge, who believes that Almond, like, he deserved to die because he didn't agree with the way he went around things, and he didn't agree with some of his beliefs. He believed that Almond died because God punished him because he went down a path of monstrosity. So, yes, and I do like when Willem is talking to a glazer about like kind of science and how the church views it. Like, some people view it as like a evil. Like, it's, they link it. I guess associated would be the best term. Would be associated with like witchcraft and whatnot. And on page 94, there's this quote that I really like. I'm just gonna start with, "What a wonder," Nicholas continued, "and yet many would speak of witchcraft and diabolical mission. Can't pronounce that, but it's like inventions that will help people and really make people live longer is associated with witchcraft." I did like, but the part I underline that I really think is interesting is, but there are two forms of magic. There is magic that is the work of the devil, which aims at man's downfall through artifices of which it is not illicit to speak, but there is a magic that is divine, where God's knowledge is made manifest through the knowledge of man, and it serves to transform nature, and one of its ends is to prolong man's very life. Like, for Willem, he sees machinery, he sees these inventions, like, they're talking about Willem's eyewear, things that are supposed to not help him see, but read text on a page more clearer. Like, some people would argue that is evil, that should be destroyed, and others believe, like, oh, that's good, it's helping people, like, that's God's work. So it is interesting to see, like, debates in my and yeah. But really, when Willem and the Glazer are talking, the Glazer mentions that there is a belief of evil when it comes to reading. That reading certain types of text can cause people to see things that aren't there, like see images or have these visions that are like this pure evil, and that's when it is reading. And that's if they read the wrong book. And apparently, I'm sorry, there was a honk. And apparently, there's people who snuck into the library, like into that forbidden section people are not allowed to go to, and during times when they're not allowed to go, and bad things have happened. And I'm just very much intrigued in what's happening. If there's more deaths to investigate, that's prior to Mono, who William doesn't believe was killed, but he believes he killed himself, and that this whole thing's being covered up. So yeah, that's all for my notes for now. But yeah, I do find it interesting how even through a lot of the religious talk it did go over my head, it's given, I guess it's given context that there we are, to the way people think, to how people, anyway, they let it take over their mind, their way of thinking, and they think just because someone believed in something different to their beliefs, they deserve to die because of. And I mean, it also depends how strong that belief is. But also kind of like how people will antagonize one another because their beliefs are different, and they go on about it in different ways. How people have been punished. Like, I don't know. For me, it is quite fascinating seeing, like, I guess the politics of this time, and how there's been war, how there's been corruption and all of that stuff. So yeah, so far I'm just very much intrigued, and yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see you. So it's the next day, and as you saw, I did go out today. I wasn't expecting to, but my mom had a last minute errand she had to run, and I went with her just to help her a bit with the drive, just because it was quite a drive. Let's just say yeah, it's just a long drive. So yeah. But I have done quite a bit of reading of the Name of the Woes, and now I'm on, I guess, day 3, page 195, I want to say, and so far I am intrigued. Again, a lot of it is going over my head, like with the religious conversations, like how people really interpret what's happened in the Bible and whatnot, or that kind of stuff. Right, yep. And we learned that another body has been discovered, which was like floating in blood from what I gathered, and then Jorge had an argument with the second victim about Aristotle's like poetics, and if laughter is a sin, that's what Jorge believed in, or if it was a great thinking. Kind of like the argument about if laughter is a bad thing, if it should be, if men shouldn't laugh, if men shouldn't be happy. Like, that's an argument that Willem has later with Jorge in a library, which. And we learned that Berenger, who I believe is an assistant librarian, he tells Willem the story of seeing Mono, who is the first victim, who like out before Mono died, and he was like in hysterics. He was like in great aggravation, and he called Berenger like master, even though Berenger never taught him anything really properly. And it doesn't like he lost his mind, and he and the second victim apparently did something they shouldn't have. And Mono and the second, oh my god, Mono and let's see if I can even say the name of the second victim. Vanitas. Apparently they did something they shouldn't have, and Mono later tried to repent his sin to Jorge, who refused to repent it, so that might have been the cause for the suicide. And I do appreciate the fact it is acknowledged there are good herbs and bad herbs. There are herbs that when used they can help a person feel better, heal, but there are also herbs that can cause additional harm to an individual, and as well it also matters the quantities of it, because if you consume a bad herb in small quantity it should be okay, but if you consume it in a larger quantity, well, it will have consequences. And with certain herbs hallucinations can occur, which in the story Berenger's house about seeing the mono the last time. And yeah, and again with the politics about this time, there was pressure from the abbot to solve this solve this case and find the murderer as quickly as possible. And if Willem isn't successful in finding the murderer before the legislation comes, the abbot will have to give up power to the Pope, and it seems like there's that abbot they're at. It's a middle ground between the legislation and the public in some sort of meeting or something, which Willem was really there just to serve as a mediator for, which I guess is intriguing. And yeah, we see how Willem and Axel are able to sneak into the library after dark, and they have had issues trying to investigate Renantis' desk. Apparently they were told they can look, people will avoid it, people will still steer clear of it, but they need permission from the abbot to read the text, and it's a whole weird thing. So they sneak in for the purpose of reading the scrolls and whatnot that Venetis was transcribing, but also really to go into the part of the library, the upper floor of the library where no one's allowed to go. And when they get to Venetis' desk, they learn that they're not alone. Someone they throw a book or something to trick Willem and Nacho into thinking that person's on him when they're not. They stole something from Venetis' desk, and as well Willem's glasses. And that's really just to prevent Willem from reading something. And Willem, he can see, but it's just difficult for him to read text clearly. And Axel is not often used because the text that Willem needs to read is in Greek, which Axel cannot read. So, but yeah, they entered what's essentially a labyrinth of scrolls. It's they go to one room and it's they're kind of circling around unknowingly. I don't know, the whole thing is a bit interesting. And yeah, and they come across a room of mirrors, which is supposed to cause an illusion of this, or to trick people into going to certain places in the library, which is a bit amazing. But yeah. And they do see this light on a table, which Axel goes to investigate, and he has this visions before he passes out. And when he comes to Willem, it's yep, there's this smell in the air, and it's something the Arabs use, and it's some sort of herb that apparently an assassin would give to the assassins to before he sent them out on a mission. And yeah, someone is setting up these herbs at night to convince visitors that the library is guarded by diabolical presence. And I'm just who is setting it up? What is the point of keeping these books so censored? I think for me it is the whole censorship of the library and whatnot, and the and keeping books from certain people. It's controlling what people believe and to prevent further arguments from happening really in the abbot, which I don't know. I do find it fascinating. So yeah, but that is all for now, and I'll So it's the next day, and it is Halloween when I'm filming this, and yeah, and I didn't really do much today. I stayed home and I just raked some leaves, and yeah, I don't know. I also had to take my father to an appointment, and I don't know. I didn't have like an extremely long day or anything, but I'm extremely tired, so you'll see how more incoherent I am in today's review or whatever of discussion of The Name of the Rose, which I did quite a lot of reading of. And now I'm on page 294, and there are discussions in this novel that are intriguing to me. We start with Atzo, who's watching the monks like do their work in a library, and he is like, I guess, pondering the fact that for centuries people have gone to war and how there have been deaths at the Abbot, but yet these monks, they still work, like they're still reading, they're still like mouthing the words out, like they're still transcribing, still translating, doing whatever they are doing. And they've read, and the monks have always read and copied books for centuries, and why should they stop now? And there's this quote on page 197 that I liked a lot. And the quote reads, the very knowledge that the abbeys have accumulated was now used as barter goods, cause for pride, motive for boasting and prestige. Thus as knights displayed armor and standards, our abbots displayed illuminated manuscripts. And all the more so madness when our monasteries had also lost the leadership in learning. And it's really like, let me pull up my notes, I'm sorry. It's like, I took that and it's like how knowledge can, I guess, be used as a weapon, how the ideas people have can be used against others. Like, I feel like that's something we see, like, constantly in this novel, like, people of different beliefs turning against one another, or kind of, like, bringing someone in and then kind of almost brainwashing them into believing that what they believe in is fact, that it's the truth. And yeah, it's from that interesting. And Willem, he gives also this like allegory and like what happens when one group splits from another, and it's like a river divulging from another, and they're never to meet again in a school of thought. I don't know, I also found that interesting. It's like how simple-minded people have a cause that can be exploited by the inquisitors to make everyday person fight their wars and eliminate their enemies, and how politicians seem to be still doing that to this day. The way Willem discussed it, it's like, even like, I think this book it takes place in 1300 something, I'm entirely sure the year. It's like 700 years later, the same BS is still happening in this way. It's like, to support purpose of heretics because it serves purpose of the leaders. It's like supporting the minds of those like who have like the bad ideas or whatever. It supports them. I don't know, I just found that really interesting. Yeah, we see more how Willem and Nacho, they take on the way of the library, like almost as in math and Christian. How it's like the different rooms, they kind of are like the letters in an alphabet. How if you find your way, you need essentially a compass. And I don't know, I found that idea quite interesting, and I just like the way they go about things. Yeah. And later, because this is a book of Adso, like recounting his time with Willem at this abbey, he does recount a time where he's not proud of what happened. Like, as a monk, it kind of goes against everything he was supposed to do as a monk, I guess. But when he went into the library to investigate a bit without Willem one night, and when he leaves, he runs into this girl who's leaving with a package, and she is naked. Like, it's obvious she's someone like a prostitute. And it seems like this is I guess a common occurrence. Like, someone working in the kitchen will have a girl from the local village come and serve purpose to, I believe it's the collector or someone in the, or seller in the abbey. It's like people, like it's someone in the village who knows the people of the village, who are so, women who are so desperate to feed for their families that they are willing to sell themselves to do so. But he falls to lust with this girl, and he mentions that the way he recounts this encounter involves similar language and the same words he used in describing the fire that burned the man a few pages prior in Lament. The people saw as a heretic. The way he thought about things, the way he motivated his followers was against the church, and the Pope did condemn him. And Fulero, when recounting both events, he felt ecstasy in them. And when he tells Willem what happened, and Willem kind of forgives him or whatever, Willem's that he should experience this kind of thing once, and it's it is a good experience for a monk to have once, as he can one day be indulgent and understanding of the sinners he will console, I guess. And and they do find another body, and they find the body of the servant they were looking for, who was drowned in a bath. And this man, more clues are kind of being revealed. Both Willem and the doctor at the abbey named Severance, they both did find that this servant, he had black fingertips for some reason, the same way that the second victim did, but with the second victim, the doctor thought it was he got into ink, but that wouldn't be the reason for the third man. So, and the third man also had a black tongue, so it's showing that both men were poisoned in some way. Which, and it seems, And Willem decides he needs to investigate, I guess, the nighttime abbey. To him, he realizes there's two versions of the abbey: the nighttime abbey, the real abbey, the abbey that's the sinners come to play, and it's who the monks are their true colors are come out at night, and during the daytime it's the abbey is a front, I guess, of what an abbey should be like, and it's always very much intriguing. And we do find there were many people involved in this, and people taking pleasure in what's going on, as they say. And our third victim might have been a part of this, but who he had desires for was even more undesirable than what was going on. So yeah, I don't know. So far, there's a lot happening, and I'm just very much intrigued in seeing where this investigation will go. So yeah, and I think for the rest of the night, I'm just gonna relax. I am probably tired, and I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I had to run some errands. I just did some grocery shopping and whatnot. And I think I mentioned we're getting some work done in the house, so it's just been quite nosy all day. So yeah, I haven't been able to update you until now. But I have done some more reading of The Name of the Rose, and now I'm on page, I want to say 356, and still enjoying it. We see how he's, I guess, lovesick. He can't stop thinking about the girl. He had that encounter with, let's say. I think it is interesting seeing how his mind is kind of reacting to it, because it's his mind knew what he was doing was, I guess, sinful, but his body did not. He, I guess, was caught up in a moment. It's the best I can say it. His body caved into the human desires, while his mind was no, this is wrong, I shouldn't do this. Shouldn't have done this. think, yeah, he is thinking about the situation he's in. Like, he is a monk, so in another situation, what he did might have been considered, I guess, okay, or at least good, but with him, who is a monk, it was bad. So it's like these two, and as well, he thinks he's suffering from the conflict between the illicit appetite of the intellect and the illicit appetite of the senses. So, and seeing him kind of grapple with that, with the fact like he is human. Like, I think when we first meet him, like, he's young. I want to say maybe 20. So. Yeah, and then we see how we learn more from Willem's method of invest, and like how he lines up disjointed elements and really ventures some hypotheses. And he ventures many, and many of them are so absurd he doesn't innovation to say. It's like he's putting together a puzzle. He's like, what fits? How does it fit? Like, does it fit properly? Or in the more absurd ways, he's like, no, that doesn't make sense whatsoever. Like, the way Willem thinks is quite interesting. And yeah, and we also learned that Willem and Ads learned that the library is like laid out like a map of the world. Like, each section is dedicated to where the author of the books come from, and there's a section of those writers from Africa, from England, let's say. Like, I found that interesting, but really what I found the most interesting in today's, I guess, section that I read was kind of like questioning about books, like, and discussion about books in general, like how one book can lead you to another book when you're researching whatnot. Like, not only information you seek is in one book, it's like across many books, which I do like, but also like how books, they don't state the explicit truth, like they state something, and it's up to the reader to decipher what this means. Like, you see this when William in the ads, or they're talking about the unicorn, like the unicorn in the Bible is, or within many books, there it's oh my god, what is the word? It's portrayed as this like white, pure figure, this very beautiful thing, when apparently in reality it's this dark thing that's this ugly. So that's quite interesting thing. Like, how it's up to the reader to decipher, like, and take stuff from the books. It's like, so I guess I am not depicting kind of wondering what the Bible's about. Oh my god, there's a term. I'm tired. I don't know why. But it's like, how do we not portray? Oh my god, what is the word? But what do we take from the Bible? Like, the Bible gives us an idea of what we should take from it, but we take the lesson from it that we need, or that we think that the Bible is telling us, if that makes sense. I'm kind of forgetting words at this point. It's not even that late, but yeah. And I think that's really it I want to discuss. I do have to say, there's like a line in here, speaking of books, on page 344, where, and so he finds this medical book that's like talking about like, I guess sometimes someone might talking about like the body and how some symptoms someone might experience after they have an encounter like Ato had, and he's reading the symptoms and he's like, do I have this, do I have that? And on page 344 he's like, I learned later that reading books of medicine, you are always convinced you feel the pain of which they speak. It's like, I think that's the same way with technology and the internet in today's day and age. Like, you read something and it's like, do I have this, do I have these symptoms? And it's like, our brains are tricking us into believing that yes, we have these symptoms, we're sick. I don't know, I just found that funny. So yeah, And I think that's it for now. I'm so sorry for this incoherent update. I'm so tired today. I don't know why. But yeah. So yeah, I think that's all. So it's the next day, and as you saw, I did go out today into within my town. And I say it that way just because I do kind of live on the edge of my town, and I just don't really go into that often. So yeah, but the library was having a book sale, and I did get something. I don't really. I'm counting this as it's 3 books, but it's 1 box set. I got this box set of. Why did I always have like that? I don't know, but it's the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. So yeah, I have the first 3 books in that trilogy, and yeah, I don't know if I will keep the box or not. I'm probably not, it's because not into that really. But yeah, I got a good deal considering I just at the price, like the retail price on the bottom, $44. I paid $6. So yeah, and I did go to a tag so that some church was having, and I just got a couple things. I didn't film at a tag so or the book so just because I didn't really have a lot of time. Yeah, and I also went some errands. I just did that was of my grocery shopping and whatnot. So yeah, just a nice day. Feel quite chilly. Like there's a bit of a breeze, a bit of a cold wind. But I have done quite a bit of reading of The Name of the Rose, and now I'm on page 438, and I am very much enjoying it. We finally see this meeting between the Italians and the French, which is like it's a debate between supporters of the French and Woe and their critics. And a meeting quickly gets out of hand because the two sides they cannot coincide on their beliefs. They disagree. They come down on one another. It's so whole thing. At one point it gets really much out of hand. I think it resorts to violence. Yeah, they just don't really seem to be listening to one another on their interpretation of the gospel and general beliefs. And also, he's there as a scribe for William, and he realizes that the question isn't really about whether Christ was poor, it's whether the church must be poor. Being poor isn't about owning about, but it's I guess about the countries where to legislate on earthly matters. So yeah, there's that, and there's someone there who is sent by the Pope to, I guess, meditate or serve as a moderator for the two sides, and people believe he was there just to prevent the two sides from agreeing, from getting along, which with the events, it seems like that is happening. They're not gonna come to an agreement of any kind. So, yeah. And we do have another death. This one of the herbalists, name of Severance, who was murdered shortly after talking to him about finding the book on Berengar, and who was the previous victim, and appeared too unusual to him, and Severance was just gonna give it to him, and he was unable to discuss with him. Did have to go to this meeting, and he was gonna give it to him after the meeting, but yeah, he was murdered, and it seems like a different way to the victims. The other 2 victims, they had black fingertips, and Severance was wearing gloves. He was afraid of being poisoned. He was afraid. He was paranoid, I guess. But William presumes that it was Benno at the time, and it seems that this murderer is actually following the book of the Apocalypse, which has been brought up a couple of times, and it really stuns William. Makes him think of, is it possible to imagine a mind so evil that he is following this pen, this book of Apocalypse? There are, my God. How can a person be, and really how, I guess, sinister or to not minding myself. I get not trained, but there's a word. Why am I blanking out? It's like the methodology, like of a murderer. Like these aren't one of them deaths like he presumed. Yeah. And Willem, he is sorry, skipped the whole section of my notes. My God. And yeah, and Salvatore, who was one of the cooks, like, he was arrested the night before, and he, I guess, was tortured. He was arrested because he was caught sneaking in with a girl, and he had something on him that would have presumed people to think he had with something to do with the devil. So, but he confesses the sins of the seller, who was arrested by the Inquisitor. Like the Inquisitor, the person, Bernard, the guy who was sent there to serve as a mediator. He seemed to be out for the seller before Severance was murdered for some reason, and the seller was found with Severance, like after he died, standing over the body. Like it is not good for him. But yep, initially the Inquisitor wanted to arrest him on charges of being a heretic, and now trying to lay the blame of all of the murders on him. And the seller, he just confessed to being a heretic, to following the group of someone of a heretic in the past. Initially, he just denied the fact he was a murderer of what's happening. Like he has murdered in the past because of the group he was with. But when Bernard threatens to have him tortured, he confesses. He's saying what the Inquisitor wants, and it's something we mentioned in earlier in the novel, that when tortured or threatened with torture, you say things that the other person wants to hear, and this other saying things to prevent getting tortured. And Willem, he is still motivated to finding the true murderer. He thinks different to Bernard Gu, which is the guy's full name, who is only interested in burning the accused, not finding the truth. While Willem, he is interested in unraveling this knot. Like he finds it fascinating and is quite interested. So yeah. And we also see another form of lust, I would say. Like Ato, he was lustful for this girl, for this woman who was arrested with Salvatore, who she was also caught with example of falling for the devil, and her punishment, I would say, is a bit more severe. Like I would say there's no time in thinking in this novel, and people thinking women are horrible, that they're the devil, that you should stay away, that women will just tempt him to you or whatever. Like it's just a lot of old-fashioned thinking. So be aware of that if you want to go into the book, if that's going to be a problem for you, because a couple of times I did roll my eyes, but yeah. Anyway, with Benno, he is lustful for knowledge. He wants to know everything, know the secrets of the library, and he is actually the one who did take the book from Severance after Severance was killed, and he hid it from Willem before giving it to the head librarian, who then gave him the offer of being assistant librarian. Like, it is really like to keep Benno quiet, and Benno's like, this is my chance to get to know what I want. And like Benno will be the guardian of the secrets of the library he wanted to learn while learning them. And Benno, like, he is filled with lots of knowledge. Like, he wants to learn, and he wants all of this knowledge. Like, he doesn't care if others get it. Like, as long as he has it, that's enough. So he just like seeing what people will do, like to get what they want, and I guess their determination to do anything in their power to do it. So yeah. But yeah, I'm so very much intrigued about, I guess, the mystery of like who is killing the monks and other people in the abbey, because there's one guy who keeps bringing up the book of Apocalypse, but he's like a very old guy, so I just don't imagine him actually being the one, like, apparently he's one of the oldest monks there, and he's at the end of his life, so yeah, I just don't really imagine him like, doing it, so yeah, very much intrigued, and I think that's it for this update, and this will be the end of this vlog. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below telling me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to my channel, and if you want to follow me on any social media, all those things are in the down bar below. I'll see you guys next time I post.